jump in. All right, so once again, we have a test coming up on Thursday. It will be in class unless you've been informed otherwise. And it will be from 11 to 12:15, our usual class time. So you'll have an hour and 15 minutes to complete the test. And it's going to cover the relational algebra. And it's going to cover some select statements and a create table statement. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to recap how you go about approaching these problems. And we're going to walk through one of the problems from the homework assignment. So if you haven't turned in your homework assignment yet, you can still turn it in today and today only. And you will only receive half credit since we're essentially going through some of that today. So if you haven't turned in your homework assignment, please make sure to turn it in no later than end of day, or you won't get any credit for it. If you turn it in by end of day, you'll get up to half credit for it, depending on how much of it you get correct. But anyway, if you remember the homework assignment, we had these relations for our entertainment database. We had entertainment, which included an ID and an entertainment name. We had reviewer information that gave an ID for the reviewer, what their name was, their age, their city, their state, and their email. They would generate a review for the entertainment. So the review would refer to a reviewer ID and an entertainment ID, and it would give a summary of the review that reviewer gave to that entertainment. We had a talent associated with with the various entertainments. And that talent had a talent ID, a talent name, a state, and a salary, city, state, and salary. And that talent was associated with the entertainment by way of a credit. So that talent might have been the director or the actor or the producer for a particular piece of entertainment. And there were many talents associated with the various entertainments. And those were the relations. Does anybody have any questions on these relations and how they're represented here? Okay, so if you get something like this on the test, you might want to draw yourself a little picture of how these things connect to one another. That's probably the first thing I would do if I got something like it, just so I knew. Just so I knew how these things connected. So you've got your and that review issued by a reviewer. Payment has credits. Various talents. Okay, so that's probably the first thing I do if I get something like this on the test. I would put together a picture just so I know how these things go together. So this is Professor Weiss's prescription on how to get an A on the test. Step one, you get something like this, you make a picture. Okay, well, we'll get to that in a minute. You might not want to draw the picture just yet because you haven't yet figured out how these things connect. So let me hold off on that question because I'm going to get to that next. All right. So the first thing you ask yourself is, what are the primary keys for these various? What fields are necessary? What's the minimum number of fields that's necessary to identify a record in each one of these uniquely? Okay, who wants to tell me what the primary field for entertainment is? Yeah, Michael. No, not necessarily. Yeah, Nick. Entertainment ID. Yeah, entertainment ID is enough to tell me any unique record in this entertainment relation, right? Because each of those IDs can be assigned uniquely. All right, how about review? Who wants to tell me? Yeah, Andrew. Yeah, reviewer ID, that's a good one for review. I'm sorry, reviewer, reviewer. Yeah, reviewer ID uniquely identifies the reviewer. How about talent? Yeah, talent ID. Those are the easy ones. You know, those IDs are unique and they specify a unique record for each of these. Okay, how about reviewer? Yeah, Michael. No, those aren't key fields. Those aren't primary keys because they aren't required to uniquely identify that reviewer. That reviewer has a reviewer number. Like if I want to access information about you at OCC, all I need is your student ID, right? If I have your student ID, I know that's uniquely Michael and nobody else. Okay. Who can tell me what the primary keys are for review? Or what the primary key is for review? Well, for the purpose of this exercise, we're going to assume that each reviewer only does one review, which is generally the case. So if we have the reviewer and, only does one review for each entertainment. So if we have the reviewer ID and the entertainment ID, we pretty much know who the reviewer is. So the primary key for review is that's the primary key. That will uniquely identify a specific review. And how about for credit? Well, yeah, I mean, it could be entertainment ID and talent ID. If you said entertainment ID and talent ID, I wouldn't mark it wrong. But sometimes you have multi-talented people that are both directors and actors in something, right? So you might need the credit also because you might have, Spike Lee joint, right? Spike Lee is the director and Spike Lee is the star, right? If you saw Do the Right Thing or something like that. Yeah, Nick. Yeah, every relation generally has a set of fields that would constitute that primary key, and that field could be one field or multiple fields. Okay. Sorry? Did you say credit? It's all. Credit, it would be all of them. Yeah. Okay, so now the question is, what are the foreign keys? Can anybody tell me what the foreign keys, what records here have a foreign key? I'm sorry, what relations refer to other relations? Yeah, Nick. Yeah, so review and credit refer to other relations. Yeah, and they have foreign keys that point to other relations. What are the foreign keys in review? Yeah, Zach. That's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, if we look at reviewer ID points to reviewer ID in reviewer, the review is uniquely associated with a reviewer. That reviewer is the one who wrote the review. And the entertainment ID points to what was being reviewed. So those are foreign keys in the review relation. Who has reviewer ID as a foreign key referring to the referencing reviewer. It has entertainment ID as a foreign key referencing entertainment. Okay, what are the foreign keys in credit then? Yeah. That's exactly right. Entertainment ID references the entertainment for which that credit applies. And talent ID represents the talent who is associated with that credit. Mike Lee or Ben Stiller or whoever you care to put there. But yeah, so those are the foreign keys. And if you didn't know how to draw the lines in these boxes, first do this. draw the boxes. This relationship between foreign keys and primary keys tells us how to draw the lines. You know, we see, for example, the credits points to, I'll draw this as an arrow, entertainment, you know, because it has a foreign key referencing entertainment. Credit points to talents, because it has a foreign key representing talents. Likewise, review points to entertainment, because it has a foreign key representing entertainment. And review points to review. Okay, so now we can draw this diagram, you know, with confidence if we couldn't draw it before. And now we have arrows in this diagram. These arrows are also important because they tell us something about the relationship between review and reviewer. So which is the referencing relation and which is the reference relation in that? The reference, yeah. That's right. Reviewer is referencing. I'm sorry, review is referencing. And this is the one that's referenced, right? Because this one has the foreign key that points to the primary key. Well, what does that tell us about that relation? What that tells us about that relationship between those two relations is that review, you can have many reviews for a single reviewer, right? Because many of those records in review point to the same reviewer ID. Okay. So the relationship between review and reviewer many one. Okay. Likewise, there may be many reviews for a single entertainment. So the relationship entertainment is many to one. What's the relationship of credits to entertainment? Yeah, it's many to one, exactly. Many to one. How about credits to talents? So generally, the referencing relation will be the many, and the reference relationship, or the reference relation will be the one. Everybody got that? Makes sense to everybody? Okay. So if you're asked for any one of these relationships, whether it's one to many or many to one, etc., you know, you have to look at the direction of that reference, and that will tell you the referencing is the many and the reference is the one. Everybody good with this so far? Does it make sense? Any questions on this? All right. Now, just for giggles, just for laughs, this is many to one. This is many to one. How about entertainment and reviewer? Well, no, actually, that's not a good one. All right, so each of the relationships in this case are many to one. Got a single have a relationship like this. For this one is many to one, and this one is many to one. The relationship between these two would be many to many. Because there could be a number of those intermediate things that combine those in different ways. A to B is many to one, and C to B is many to one. Then A to C is many to many. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, you may be asked on the test. In fact, you probably will be asked on the test. In fact, you definitely will be asked on the test. Specific relationships, whether they are one to many or many to one. And you can expect that on the test as well. Okay. So once again, if you have a referencing relation, it is the what? Is it the one or the many? A referencing relation or the referencing relation in a relationship is the many, correct. The referenced relation in a relationship is the yes. Okay. So remember, referencing relation is the many, referenced relation is the one. And if you think about it in terms of the arrowheads point to one thing, at the end of the arrow is anything. Okay? So the arrowhead is the one. Yeah, exactly. How are we with this? Everybody all right so far? Any questions on this? I am almost giving you the answers on the test, so please pay attention. All right. So then we had this query, and I hope you all can see this, but this was the first question in your homework. And it said the entertainment ID, entertainment name, reviewer name, and review summary for all reviews by reviewers that are less than 20 years of age. Sorry? Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, and sometimes it helps to make this a bullet list. You can say, this is one piece of it, this is another piece of it, this is another piece of it. You'll get that as a question initially. You can break it down if it makes it easier for you. But who remembers what the first step is when you're doing the relational algebra expression? What's the first thing that you want to do? Yeah. Yeah, what relations are involved in this solution? So what relations do we need to get the entertainment ID, entertainment name, and reviewer name? And what relations do we need to understand the age? Yeah. So we certainly need entertainment and reviewer. Yeah. So we do need entertainment. Now, what entertainment goes with what reviewer without something else? Yeah, Nick. Yeah, we need the review too. I mean, those two things are not connected unless we connect them by way of the review. So the first thing we do when we're doing one of these relational algebra things is we have to figure out what joins we need for the relational algebra. And to figure out what joins we need for the relational algebra, we have to ask the question of what tables or relations we need, right? And you guys very appropriately answered that the ones that we need entertainment for entertainment ID and entertainment name. We need reviewer for reviewer name and age. And as Nick pointed out, you know, when we try to figure out how these two things are related, we find out that we need reviewer to help us complete that relationship. Right? So then we find out we need reviewer, review, and entertainment. And we know from before, and actually this arrow should go the other way. We know from before that review connects to reviewer and review connects to entertainment. So we need to join these things together. So we say, how do we join them? Well, there's the join part of the expression. We join reviewer to review by review ID. Sorry, reviewer ID. And we join entertainment. Yeah. No, yeah, you can go left to right or right to left. It doesn't matter at all. Yeah, you need review in the middle, exactly. Okay, so that's how you do the join. And that's step one. Okay. So there's the join, and we have reviewer ID. We join reviewer with review by reviewer ID, and we join entertainment with review via entertainment ID. And we could have done that in the opposite order. We could have done that by entertainment. And then review with reviewer by reviewer ID. Okay. Any questions on this first step for this problem? But we're not done yet, right? Because our next step is we have to figure out what to select out of that. Okay, so we need to take the result of the previous step, and I'm going to call that R1. I'm just going to name it R1. Okay, that's the previous step. And let's see, let me just fix this here. So that's the previous step. We've got that. But now we want to find from that only those reviews that are by reviewers less than 20 years of age. I mean, that's the select that we're doing. We're limiting the records that come out of this to only be those that are associated with reviewers that are less than 20 years of age. So to do that, we need to select from this R1 relation based on a condition where the age is less than 20 years old. So, you know, we would be writing that like this, right? Select from this where the age is less than 20. Okay, so, you know, once we figure that out, we can substitute back in R1 and we get our step 2 that says, you know, this is our selection statement, our select statement. We've done the join first, and now we've got the select for this part. Does anybody have any questions on this? Yes, sir. When you write it in the end, you know, you can do this to come up with your answer, but in the end, you have to write the answer in the full. I'm not going to tell you how to think. You know, you guys, you have your own processes. You know what I mean? You can do it however you want to do it. I'm just showing you one way to think about it. This is very step by step. No, you can do it on paper as long as you come up with the right answer. In fact, you know, the test basically has room for the answer. So you can work the steps on paper. And then you put the answer into the test. Okay, so that's step 2, but we're not done yet because we found the correct records. We want only those that are associated with reviewers less than 20 years of age, and we figured out what we need to join together to get that. But we only want some of the fields that result from this. So that's our step 3. We need to figure out what the project is, what fields we're going to be taking from this. So we take the results of the previous step. This is the results of the previous step. We'll call that R2 for now. Okay. And we're going to do a project of R2. And what fields do we need from this? No, it's only asking, the question is only asking for the entertainment ID, the entertainment name, the reviewer name, and the review summary. So those are the only fields we need. And the way we get those is we project the fields. So, we're going to project entertainment ID, entertainment summary. Now, the important thing here to realize is that entertainment ID exists in multiple tables. So that it's a primary key in entertainment, but it's also a foreign key in both review and credits, right? So, because we have review in this join, we have to make it clear what entertainment ID we want to use here, because there are a choice of 2. So that's why I have to put entertainment ID in front of that. Now, if you want to, you could put the table name dot field name in front of all these things, but you don't have to because, these other names are unique. Okay, but it would not be wrong to do that if you want to be safe, and you don't want to worry about whether you properly qualified something or not. You can put the relation name in front of each of these with the dot. Okay, so you would be projecting from your R2. So, if you chose to use a different entertainment ID here, like if you chose to use the one from review, that's fine too. Because one of the conditions we have here is that they're equal in the join. They have to be equal in the join. So it doesn't really matter if you decided to use, it doesn't really matter if you decided to use review.entertainment ID, or if you decided to use entertainment.entertainment ID. It really doesn't matter which one you decide to use, as long as you clarify which one it is you're using. And the reason we do that is when we get into the select statement really cares. The select statement will care to make sure that you're using the, oh gosh, sorry about that. Make sure that you're using the correct one. There we go. Okay, so that is the third step to this process, and then you can replace R2 with the full thing, and you wind up with this statement. This is the answer to this question. This is the answer to this question. Going together the proper tables on the proper fields. You've selected from that only those records that correspond to reviewers that are less than 20 years of age. And from that, you've only extracted the fields that are being asked for here, which are entertainment ID, entertainment name, and review name. Okay, any questions on this process? And some of you did really well on this, by the way, on the homework, so for those folks, it's definitely review. Some of you struggled with one step or the other of this. So if you go through this step-by-step process and start with the join, go to the select, go to the project, you come out with the right answer. And the other thing I should mention to you here is, please notice how I indented this. Makes it a little bit easier to read. This is a multi-line statement. It's hard to read if you string it all together. So I've got one result here, I've got the next result here, and the next result here, and it's nicely nested and easy to read. Okay. So that just makes it a little bit more readable as an end result. Okay, any questions on this or any comments on this? All right. So, I gave you this question here, and I asked you to represent it as a relational algebra statement. I could have very well have given you a similar question and asked you to represent it as a SQL statement. That would have been kind of nasty of me. Okay, but you will get that on the test. And if you know SQL well, you'll be able to do it directly. And if you don't know SQL well, what I'm going to show you now is how to convert from a relational algebra statement to a SQL statement. And I think, Hannah, you actually asked me about this at the end of the last class, so I wanted to make sure to address your question, because you asked about the syntax of SQL and whether I could give a summary. So I wanted to make sure. I thought that was a good suggestion, so I am going to do that. So, the way SQL maps to relational algebra, we've got this project with this list of attributes or fields. We've got a select with a predicate here. We've got a join with a one relation, two relations, and a predicate. And we've got some of these other things, these assigns and renames and things like that. So I've kind of color-coded that stuff a little bit for you. And, I've mapped it into the SQL statement, the select statement in SQL. So, the project attributes are right after the select. If you're going to map this into a SQL statement that implements this thing, you're going to select the specific attributes, and those are the same attributes that you would have been putting in the project statement. Okay, so that's after the keyword select, that's the next thing you're going to put in is that list of attributes. The relations that are part of your join are where you're getting those things from. So from the relations that are in your join. Then the where statement has two pieces. It has the predicate for the join and the predicate for the select. And you have to include both of those. We haven't learned other formats for the select statement yet, for the join statements yet. So this is what we're doing for the test. But you have where the join predicate is true and the select predicate is true. And then you might be grouping things or ordering things, you might include that stuff. And, you might be naming this something, or you might be naming the attributes. I've got those in here as well. But this is kind of a cheat sheet for the syntax for the select statement. Okay, and how it maps to the relational algebra. Yeah, you should memorize how to do this, and I'm going to show you an example that might help you here. Okay, so we're doing that same query that we just did, and we wound up with this nice relational algebra statement that represented that query, right? So if you remember, the query was to find the entertainment ID, entertainment name, reviewer name, and review summary for all reviews that were written by reviewers who are less than 20 years of age. All right? So I color-coded that stuff. I've got the project attributes. I've got the predicate for the select and the predicates for the joins. Okay, and the relations that we're dealing with are reviewer, review, and entertainment. So let's map that into our select statements. So the first thing we need is the word select. Okay. Can't read that very well. Sorry about that. Hang on. Let me fix that. Make this white so we can read it better. Okay. And we'll make these other things white too. Bear with me. I want to make this more readable for you guys. There we go. All right. So let's go back into this slideshow mode here. All right. So the first thing we need is we need the word select. So let's get the word select in there. All right. So we put in our word select. The next thing we need to figure out is what fields we're projecting for this query. And we have those right here. You know, they're in blue right here. We want the entertainment ID, the entertainment name, the reviewer name, and the review summary. Those are the fields that we want at the end of this statement. So that's the first thing that we put in front of our, or following our select keyword. Okay. Then we've got the keyword from. And that's from, following that from, we're going to specify what the relations are that were in our join. So who can tell me what those relations were? Yeah. That's right. So we put those in there separated by commas. Reviewer, review, and entertainment. So, you know, this is what these are the fields we're selecting, you know, project. These are the relations that make up our join. The next thing we have to do is put in a keyword where. And then we have to say the conditions that are being used for our join. Who can tell me what those conditions are? Yeah, Nina. That's one of them, yep. That's exactly right. So we need to have those in there. And we need to have the logical keyword and at those. Okay, now the next thing that we need is we're going to have another and in there because we're going to add the conditions for our select. Who can tell me what the conditions for our select is? Yeah, Andrew. Age less than 20. Yep, that's our select condition. So we've got our project, we've got the relations in our join, we've got the conditions for our join, we've got the conditions for our select. And you know, if we didn't want to sort, if we don't care about the order, we can end it here. Okay, if we don't want to sort this, we can end it here. Okay, if we do want to sort it, you know, we might choose to order it by entertainment name and reviewer name or something like that. But we can add an order by clause in there. And this would complete our select. And that's the syntax. Was that the kind of thing you were thinking about there, Hannah? Yep. Janina, you had a question? So you have to do it both places because if you just put review ID, it won't know which review ID you're talking about. So you have to do it both places. Anytime you have an attribute name that exists in more than one relation or table, you have to be explicit about which one you're using. If it only exists in one relation or table, SQL is smart enough to figure it out. But if it exists in multiple relations or tables, you have to say which one you mean. Yeah, Nick. Well, you know, I always like to indent. I mean, I'd write it just like this. And if you copy and paste this into Microsoft SQL Server, it will run exactly as it is. You know what I mean? So I kind of like this. This is nice. You know, it makes it a little bit more readable. Yeah, that's just normal text. Okay. All right. So any questions on this? Any comments on this? Do you guys want to try another one from the homework? All right, but this is kind of prescriptive. You know, I made 10 slides for you here. These 10 slides, study these, they will take you a process that you need to go through in order to do all of the questions in the exam, except for the create table. That one you're going to have to memorize separately. You're going to have to memorize the syntax for a create table. Yeah, I can go over that real quick. Yeah, let me just wrap this up before I do that, but I will go over that really. So, you know, just remember this process, and you might be asked to write a query, you know, in SQL directly. And if you're, as I said, if you're familiar enough with SQL, you can try it without going through the relational algebra. But if you're not familiar enough with SQL and you just want to apply this process, you know, you might want to try to write the relational algebra expression first before you do the query, and then go through this process to get to the SQL. Okay. How are we feeling about this? Everybody, does this help? Does this make it a little bit easier for y'all? All right. So let's do another example. We're going to do this one on the board. Pull up my homework thing here. It's the fault. Okay, let's do one of these recipe ones. Well, we did these already. Let me bring up the homework one. Sorry about that. Sorry, wrong file. Okay, so we just did number 2 here, and we wrote this relational algebra expression. We wrote exactly this one. Let me make that bigger so y'all can see it. Okay, the next one was to do the talent ID and talent name for all actors in the office who make more than $200,000. Okay, and we are, so that up. So what relations do we need? Step 1 is to do the joints. What relations do we need to answer this question? There we go. So we're doing this right here. What relations do we need for that one? Well, what are the fields that we need? Let's start with that. So what is what is we're looking for? You know, what things are we looking for here? We're looking for the talent ID and the talent name. And we also see that, you know, the credit has to be actor, the entertainment name has to be The Office, and the salary has to be more than $200,000. You know, so we have talent ID, we have talent name, we have entertainment name, we have credit, and we have salary. So, you know, we can look and see which of our relations include all of those things, or include each of those things. All right, so talent ID is in what relation? Talent, right? We need talent because we need to know the talent ID. Talent name is also in talent. Right? So we need talent for that. We know who the actors are in The Office. We need credit, right? How do we know what the show name is? Payment. Payment name. Right? How do we know what the salary of the talents are? That's also in talent. So this would tell us we need what relations? Those three, right? We need talent, credit, entertainment. And fortunately, when we look at our diagram here that we drew earlier, we realize that, you know, those things are already related, so we don't need anything to bridge the gap between them. So those three should give us everything that we need for this particular question. So let's list those: talent, credit, and entertainment. Okay, so now we have to join those together. Right? And if we look at our picture, go this way, we go entertainment, credit, or talent, or we could go the other way. You know, Nick asked we go the other way as well. We could go from talent to credit to entertainment. We could do either one of those. So, you know, I don't care which one we do. We can start with talent. And we're going to do a join of that with credit. Now, how do we join those two together? What relates those two things? You know, we identified our primary and foreign keys earlier. Exactly right. Yep, you got that one. Absolutely. Talent, not talent ID. Equals credit, not talent ID. Good. All right, and then we got to join that entertainment. And what's the predicate there that connects those two? Yep. On fire. That's correct. All right. And this is our R1. You completed step 1 of the process. Entertainment ID, sorry. Okay, so that's our R1. Now we got to do our select. We got to figure out what our select is. So we're going to select R1. Select from R1. And we need a predicate here that tells what we're going to select from R1. So what is the predicate that we need here? Oh, we want actors in the office who make more than $200,000 a year. Yep. And then there would be well, what fields need to be equal to those values? So credit needs to be actor. Credit equals actor. Credit equals actor. We'll just say credit equals actor because that's the unique name. Okay. And then we have an and, which is this caret in our relational algebra. And we have what equals the office? That's right, entertainment name. Exactly, you could say entertainment name, that would also be correct. You're being more explicit, that's fine. The office. You could just say, no, entertainment name, just entertainment name. Oh, okay. Without having the entertainment dot. All right, and another and, what equals 200,000? Yeah. Yeah, what's more than 200,000? That would be salary, right?
Salary, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, talent salary. So talent dot salary. But we'll just write salary because salary is unique. Greater than 100,000. Sorry? But that's credit because there's only one relation that has an attribute named credit. Okay, so that's our select statement. We can call that R2 for now. And then we need to do our project statement. That would be on R2. And what fields do we need? We want the talent ID and talent name for all actors in the office who make more than $200,000. So what, yep, Nick? Yeah, talent ID and talent name. So what do I write here? I have to tell where the talent ID is coming from, right? Because there's more than one talent ID in the, so I have to say talent ID and talent name. Okay. So then I can substitute for my R1 and my R2s here. And when I do that, I'm writing this expression. So you'll notice this time I started with entertainment. And this time I started with talent. Last time I started with entertainment. I could have done it either way. But I have all these parts here. There's the talent ID and talent name. And I actually explicitly said the talent name was talent.talent name. You don't need these attribute fields. I added some extra stuff here. You know, sometimes you can add the attributes to the relation. You don't need them. So I'm not requiring you guys to include these, so we can take these out. You know, that's just more explicitly specifying what the relationship is, what the relation is. We don't need those. We'll take those out. All right, so there's the answer that we came up with for this question. All right, so this part was our R1. This is our R1. This would be our R2. And then finally, we have the answer that comes out. All right. So now we're going to convert this into a select statement. So let's do that. Let's type the word select. I'm going to make that black. There we go. All right. So what comes after the select statement? That's exactly right. And then we have the from piece. What comes after the from statement? Michael, you are so on fire that I'm going to put you on the bench. I'm going to give somebody else a chance to answer. That's a compliment. Whenever you get put on the bench in this class, you're doing very well. So you know that's good. All right. Then we have our where clause. So first is our join piece, and then is our select piece. So who wants to help me with this piece? Jennifer. Yeah, you can do the select predicate first. But, you know, for the purpose of the process that I want to show for this class, I prefer to do, you know, what I'm recommending for you guys just to keep things straight is that you do the join predicate first. Okay, so the join predicates are entertainment ID equals credit.entertainment ID. And credit.talent ID equals talent.talent ID. So those would be your join predicates, right? And then you would want to add your select predicates. Okay, which Nick pointed out would be credit equals actor and entertainment name equals The Office and salary greater than 200,000. Now, since this is SQL, we leave out the commas. Okay, and that would be SQL statement. And you could order this however you want. You could order it by, talent name. Okay. And that would be your SQL statement. All right. How's this working for you? Does this make sense to you? All right. And you might see some questions that ask you just what the SQL statement is. Like I said, and it's up to you to decide whether you want to go by way of the relational algebra or try it directly. I'm not going to, the questions don't require you to do the relational algebra if you don't have to. But once again, I wanted to just show you a nice process for doing this that might be helpful to you as you do these things. The other thing I should mention is it is generally a good idea to do the joint predicates before predicates because we're going to learn another syntax for this select statement later on where it pays to do the joins first. So I'm just going to tell you the only reason for doing that is for a future reason that you don't know yet. So you just got to trust me on this one. All right. All right. How are we feeling? All right. If you're reasonably confident about this, raise your hand. Good. Excellent. Good. Good. Mission accomplished. That's what I was hoping. All right. All right. You know what? I'm going to let you all do this one on your own. This last one on your own. I know many of you have done the relational algebra already, so you certainly don't need to do it again if you've already done it and you're confident in the relational algebra. But what I want you to do for this last one, and I will make it more visible to you and easier to see. What I want you to do for this last one, by the way, nobody's told me I wasn't sharing nobody was on the WebEx, so you wouldn't know. I haven't been sharing my screen this whole time. I'm sorry to the people on the recording. I apologize for that. All right, what I want you to do for the last one, there are some folks who have been forced to attend this class remotely, so I apologize to them for not having this shared. Is I want you to write the SQL statement associated with letter C here. So you guys try this on your own. And I'll give you the time to do it. And then I'm going to give you the answer and we'll see how you did. Yeah, Nina. I'm not going to have deletion on the test. Create table and select. Get back to delete. Try it on your own first. So exam 2 is going to cover the rest of SQL. So don't worry about those other commands yet. Just create. I wouldn't lie to you. The only things on this test are create table and select right now. Okay, I'm gonna give you till 12:08. Then I'm gonna give the answer. You got till 12:08. Okay. So let's do this. And I'm going to go a little quickly here, but you'll know whether you got the right answer. If you get the right answer to this, it probably means that you're in pretty good shape for the test on Thursday. If you don't get the right answer to this, it probably means you have to study and practice this process a little bit more. So please make sure that I'm not going to ask you for your answers, but please make sure that if your answer doesn't match what I'm about to do here, you understand why your answer doesn't match. But what I'm selecting here is the talent ID, the talent name, and the entertainment name. And you're going to notice right away the talent ID is not unique. So I have to specify which talent ID I'm going to take. So I'm going to take the talent.talent ID. So that's my first part. Make that nice. Oops. Sorry, indent that nicely. There we go. And what I'm going to take it from, if I look at this, I know I need talent because I have the talent name. I know I need entertainment because I have the entertainment name. I know I need credit because a director is a credit. I know I need reviewers. I know I need reviewers because I need the reviewer's city. So I need a lot of this stuff. And if I have reviewers and entertainment, I need review because review is what connects reviewers to entertainment. So yeah, this tells me I probably need just about everything here. So I'm going to include entertainment. I'm going to include review. I'm going to include reviewers. I'm going to include credit. And I'm going to include talent. So I've got all of those here. this double spacing thing here. Hang on. This is Word stuff. Fix my spacing so I don't have spaces there. There we go. All right, and then I can indent. Okay, so I need all of those things. And now we're into our, is this thing responds to me here? Oops. There we go. We're into our where clause. And this, there we go. And we need all of the join wheres, all the various predicates for the joins. X also getting in the way. All my problems with this test are not, or with this particular question are not the question, it's Word. All right, I hope that doesn't wind up being your problem when you have to do it in Excel. All right, but anyway, so we need the where clause, and we relate entertainment to review by entertainment ID. And we relate review to reviewer by reviewer ID. And we relate credit to entertainment and, wouldn't you know it? All right. There we go. And we relate credit to talent by talent ID. So I've got all my joins in here. And we need our select. And the select is that the reviewers are in the same city and the credit is director. Oh, I forgot salary here. I'll put the and there because that makes it nice and clear. Reviewer dot city equals talent dot city. And let's see, is there any other select there? Yeah, and credit equals director. And that'll do it. Okay. And if I were asked to sort this by something, I would naturally have to put in the sort order by, say, talent name, comma, entertainment name. And that would be my select statement. So that's it. How'd you guys do? You're feeling, anybody feeling confident about this one? This one was tough. Good, good. Good. All right. Well, that's it. That's all I've got for today. I'm going to end it there. And hopefully